Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and knock this out. Is it normal to be stronger on closed grip bench than wide grip bench? Can it just be my structure or leverages or just stronger triceps and weak pecs? That's a great question. Is it common? No, it's not that common. The majority of lifters are stronger at wider grip. Is it stronger triceps and weaker pecs? Yes, that's usually what it is, and I'm speaking about me personally as well, because I tend to be stronger. And for me, it's because I usually have historically avoided a lot of wide grip stuff because it's painful for me. It's quite painful, and I've always had kind of said, well, if I can just get all my closed grip pressing high enough, it won't matter, right? But that's not necessarily the best way to get elite, which is one reason I'm having to change that myself, right? It's exactly what it is, and I think people, if they saw all of my lifters, their closed grip versus wide grip, I think they would realize what I'm saying here. Like a perfect example, a lot of people, when I had put Doug's stuff up of him benching 340, like, oh wow, Doug's really strong there. He's actually wide grip benching more than you. But I've closed gripped more than that, and his closed grip is nowhere near that. Okay, it's like 10% lower. Right? He's like 10% lower. In fact, I'm not even sure if he's close gripped 315. I would need to actually check. He may not have actually even close gripped 315 yet. And we max on it. It's not like I don't let him have him do it either. I mean, that's a perfect example. But he's got a lot of pec, a lot of front delt. He has very strong front delts, very strong pecs. Guy can incline bench over 300 also. And again, I've shown some of his lifts. I've actually shown both of those lifts on my fan page, and I think in him floor pressing also. So he's one of the ones that I don't keep just to the private page, and a bunch of those guys are on the private page. But that's kind of what's going on there. It's usually the case of stronger triceps, weaker pecs. In my case, my triceps have gotten really, really strong because of all the tricep specialization. In the best case, you guys have seen me close grip 352. I can't wide grip that. I can't wide grip that. And haven't even been close. So it's exactly what it is, and the only solution is to just build your pecs up. It's to build your pecs up. But here's the upside. Let's say that you've built up a respectable close grip strength. Let's say you've got your close grip to say 275, okay, and your wide grip is only 265. Well, if you've got the pressing strength to close grip 275 and you build your pecs up bigger, you might be benching 300, okay? Because it's not uncommon for someone who finally builds their pecs up to have a ratio to where their wide grip is 5 to 10% stronger. It's relatively common. So you've got to look at it from that perspective. If you can come in and put in the time and build the pecs, and you can get there, and there's a lot of ways you can build the pecs. You can do it with everything from dumbbell work to wider grip benching, floor pressing, to weighted dips, all those things. You just got to build that whole lower chest up. You got to build it up. And it really is as simple as that. Well, it's simple in theory. In practice, it may take more work than that. It might take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But that really is the situation. You just have stronger triceps. Then you do pecs. So it's a pec weakness. All right, next question. I believe it's generally not a good idea to mix heavy work like singles with high volume rep work in the same workout, but exactly how bad is it to do so, especially if a person has a busy lifestyle? This is something that I had said in the past, and I've actually redacted and stated why I developed that opinion, what experts influenced me, and why I realized that it was not really correct. Okay, I have said in the past it's not a good idea to really mix those rep ranges, and we need to periodize it different, or we could run concurrent training and split them up. Okay, I've said that in the past. And it's one of those cases of when I redacted it, I explained why I came up with that idea and opinion, which experts influenced it, and why I realized it's just simply not true. And it's not to say that you're going to get bad results doing it that way. What I mean is, if you were to separate them completely and even do like concurrent training to where you have your higher and lower reps on completely different days, you can actually get optimal results doing that. There's nothing preventing you from getting optimal results even with that style of programming. It can totally be done. It can totally be done. So I'm not saying it's the wrong way to do things. When I redact a statement like that it's not good to mix them, it doesn't mean that doing a method where you don't mix them can't be optimized, because it totally can be. And that needs to be made clear. So these are not necessarily conflicting ideas. A conflicting idea would be to say that one works versus the other, or that, and that would be the problem. But in this case, it's a case of you can totally do it that way, and it's a very successful way for a lot of people to program. It does work. However, there isn't a true negative to mixing them in the same session. It has to do with the whole nonsense of, well, we need to optimize individual training volume. Look, that's total nonsense. Our volume is determined by how many effective reps we do. Realistically, if we understand volume at this point, we understand that volume is about effective reps. It's not about reps times sets times weight. The tonnage argument doesn't hold up under scrutiny under the literature. Okay, because that's not how muscles adapt. They care about how many effective reps we do. And I'm not going to get into the whole definition of how we define effective reps here. It's a totally different topic. I'm not even going to get into the counter arguments against effective rep theory. That's its own conundrum and hypothesis. The fact of the matter is, if you're getting adequate effective reps with adequate tension and adequate fatigue, and you recover from it, you're going to make progress. Okay? And it is totally possible, and I've been doing this for quite a while. I've switched over a bit now to where I don't do a lot of high rep stuff. I do a couple of high rep things. But for a long time, I was doing 1 rep maxes and 10 and 20 rep sets all in the same sessions and making progress and hitting PRs as an advanced lifter. It's totally doable. It can be done. It's fine. Okay? It's actually okay. If you want to do that, there's no reason you can't optimize that also. Okay? As long as the overall training stimulus is good, it doesn't even have to be optimized, to be fair. As long as your total training stimulus is well thought out and good, and you're training hard, and you're able to recover from it, you're going to make progress. Okay? It really is that simple. So you know what? It's not really as big of a problem as we might have in the past, or in certain circles of thought it was. It just isn't. It's not a problem at all. All right, next question, and probably last question for the week. Hey Jason, I have been having a little trouble with good mornings. I am doing them as you said in the video, but I notice I don't feel my glutes working as much during the exercise. I have scaled back the weight, and I do 105 pounds for 5x10. My current conventional deadlift is 415. Wow, my question is, to what degree am I supposed to be feeling my back work? I don't want my back to totally take over because I want to build my glutes. Thanks. All right, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, brother. Number one, where you feel an exercise is not always indicative of what's working. Okay? It might be indicative of what your weakest link is. Sometimes our weakest muscle hurts during an exercise. Sometimes the muscle that we're compensating with hurts during an exercise. It is not that straightforward. You have to look at biomechanics then. What muscles are being worked when you look at the structure and the movement pattern? It's probably a bit more important. Especially when we're actually pushing hard. Especially when we get to really heavy weights too. And I don't necessarily mean heavy in 1 rep max heavy, but heavy enough that we're hitting upper threshold fibers. So I can tell you right now, 5 sets of 10 with 105 pounds, if you deadlift 415, is not doing jack shit for your glutes. It's not doing anything. Okay. Maybe if you said 5 sets of 20, 5 sets of 10, I don't think so. So here's what it comes down to. How do we get the most glute involvement? How do we get the most glute involvement with the good morning? Well, you can't remove the back. That is going to be there. The amount of back, the extra back that you might get would be from back rounding. If you don't want to overwork the back excessively to the point where you're having to reduce weight, Don't round your back at all. Film yourself from the side. Figure out what your hip range of motion is that allows you to go down without rounding your back. It's going to be different at different stances. Okay? If you want to get the most glute involvement, you need to turn it into partially a squat. Some people will say, well, that looks like a hybrid between a squat and a good morning. Well, yeah, because a good morning and a squat are on the same continuum. There should be some overlap between the two, no matter how you do them. But a little wider stance will get more glute. A little more knee bend. The straighter your knees are, the more hamstring is emphasized and the less glute is emphasized. Okay, see where we're going with this? Any back rounding makes the back take the load, because as soon as your back starts rounding, any part of your back, whether it's your lower back or your middle back, what happens? That's now taking the load because we're no longer using the hip hinge. All right, the hip hinging is what works the glutes. And we can usually get a deeper hip hinge with less hamstring stretch, with a little bit of knee bend, and with a wider stance. So if you want to get as much glute as possible on a good morning, you do the power version. That means wider stance, a little bit of knee bend. The way you see me max out. Okay? That's what you need to do. And that will build some big glutes. But I can tell you right now, as a 415 puller, 105 pounds on a good morning isn't going to do anything. You might get a good hamstring pump. It might work your hamstrings if you do a straight leg. You're not going to, your glutes, no, those big strong muscles are just simply not going to get anything from that. You're just not. Maybe if you took those sets all the way to failure, which is going to be like 20 or 22 reps or something, maybe there. Not with your current strength level. Complete waste of time, other than maybe a little bit of hamstring. You're getting some hamstring work and some work capacity in the low back. That's it. You need to get strong and use the other stance. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.